Welcome to the lecture, Code Export Users to Excel. In this video, you will learn how to implement the export users to Excel, allowing admins to download an Excel document containing all users' information in the database by clicking on the hyperlink Export to Excel here in the users listing page. You see how an exported Excel document looks like. The user information is displayed in a tabular format with the header row showing the field names, user ID, email, first name, last name, rows, and enable, and each row containing information about a user, and the list is sorted by user first name in ascending order, as you can see here. Note that the Excel document contains all user fields except password and photos, and the exported data is sorted by user first name in ascending order. And this is a naming for Excel documents. The file name starting with users underscore and followed by a timestamp containing the year, month, day, hour, minute, and second. And the extension is .xlsx. So the Excel file name is unique for each download request. And to implement the export users information to Excel functionality, we need to update the user controller class. Code a new handler method export to Excel that handles requests for downloading an Excel document from the user's listing page. And then we need to code a new business class user Excel exporter that reads information from a list collection of user and then write Excel data to the response, so the browser will be able to download the data as an Excel document. And for generating Excel documents, we need to use some APIs from the Apache Boy library. Apache Boy is a free and open source Java library for reading and writing Microsoft Office documents, including Excel. Come back to the project and open the Maven project file of the ShopMe backend project and click dependencies here and click the add button here to add a new dependency for Apache Boy library. So we specify the group ID is .apache.boy and artifact ID is boy-00xml for reading and writing Microsoft Excel documents, and the version number is 4.1.0 and click OK. Click POM XML here to see the source, and you can see the dependency for Apache Boy library for XML here. Save the change, and maybe we download the required Java files for Apache Boy library. You can see in the Maven dependency section here. Here you see the Java files for Apache Boy here. And this is the official homepage of Apache Boy project at the URL boy.apache.org. You see Apache Boy, the Java API for Microsoft Documents. For detailed information about using APIs for writing Microsoft Excel document, you can refer to the component APIs Excel here. The document is very detailed. You can see the code examples here, various code examples. Then we need to update the user's listing page to show the hyperlink export to Excel here. So open the user's HTML file here, and here update the hyperlink here. Add a new hyperlink so we can copy, paste, and modify. The URL is /user/export/Excel, and the text is export to Excel. Okay, and refresh the user's listing page in browser, and we have the hyperlink export to Excel here. Then we need to code a new handler method in the user controller class here. It is similar to the handler method for exporting users to CSV here. So we can copy and paste and modify. The URL mapping is /user/export/excel, and the method name export to Excel. And we need to create a new business class that is user Excel exporter equal new user Excel exporter, and we create this class. Finished. Okay, here we go, the business class user Excel exporter. And we have some code that is similar to the functionality of export CSV here. The code that generates the file name and sets the response header here. Set header and generate the file name. So we can copy paste and modify this code. Okay, so you can see the only difference in the extension of the exported file and the content type. So it's better to refactor the code to avoid duplication. So we need to create a new base class, which is a superclass for the user CSV exporter and user Excel exporter classes. So create a new class here, new class. The class name is abstract exporter. Finished. And here in this abstract class we have the method that sets the response header for the file name and the content type. So we copy this code, paste here, and change the method name to set response header. And in this method we need to use only reference of HTTP server response, and then we need to have parameterized the extension and then the content type, string content type and string extension. And then we also need to replace the extension here plus extension, and replace the content type here, content type. Okay, and in the user CSV exporter class we have this class extend the abstract exporter. Okay, and we replace this code by calling the super method, which is the super set response header, passing the HTTP server response and passing the extension is dot CSV, and the content type is text/CSV. And similarly for the new business class user Excel exporter, here we call extends abstract exporter, and here we call super set response header, specifies the the second parameter is the content type. For downloading a PDF document, the content type should be application/output-stream, and the extension is .xslx, and modify the code in the user CSV exporter here. Okay, save the changes, and we need to retest the user CSV export functionality. Okay, in the user's listing page, click the hyperlink export to CSV, and it is downloading a CSV document here. Show in folder, and open this CSV document. Open with a text editor like Notepad. Okay, perfect. So that means the code refactor for the new superclass abstract exporter is fine. No error, no issue. Now let's write code for generating Excel document in the user Excel exporter class here. Okay, so here we create new Excel workbook SSF workbook equal new SSF workbook, and from this workbook we create a new sheet workbook. Create sheet here. And we specify a name for this sheet, which is users, and then we get an output stream from the response get output stream and then we write the workbook to this output stream workbook, write output stream, and then we close the workbook, close, and close the submit output stream. Okay, now we can test the Excel export function. Save the changes. Okay, now in the user listing page, click the link export to Excel, and you see we have a blank page. Let's see if we have any error in the console view. I think it's because the Excel document is empty. So update the code to create a new row from the sheet create a row. The row number is 0 row, and from this row we create a new cell, create cell, and the cell column index is 0 cell, and we set a string value for this cell. Set cell value string user ID. Okay, and test again. Refresh user listing page. Sorry, and click export to Excel. I think we need to stop and start the application again because we added a new dependency, Apache Poi, so it may require application restart. Okay, refresh the user listing page and click the link export to Excel. Sorry, my mistake. I have not called the method export in the controller here. Export passing the list users and passing the response object. Okay, now it should work. Okay, and refresh. You can see it is downloading an Excel document here. Show in folder, and you can see the Microsoft Excel document generated here. Oh, sorry, the Excel extension should be XLSX, not XSLX here. Okay, no problem. I delete all these files and change the extension to correct one here. The Microsoft Excel document extension is SLSX. Okay, and refresh, and you can see it is downloading an Excel document showing folder, and you can see we have our first exported Excel document. Open it in Microsoft Excel, and you can see we have only one cell in this document with the label. The text is user ID here, exactly what we write in the code here. Create a new workbook with a new sheet, and there's only one cell in this sheet with the text is user ID. So far so good. Next, let's write code for writing the header containing the field names, user ID, email, first name, last name, rows in font bold here. So we need to create a new cell style object. Workbook, create cell style, and we set a font for this cell. Workbook, create font, and we set the font bold for this font. Set bold 2, and set font size. Set font height is about 16 in height, and we set this font for the cell style. Set font, and we set cell style for this cell. Set cell style. Okay, and let's test again. Refresh the user listing page here, and click export to Excel. Show in folder. You see a new Excel file generated here, and open it in Microsoft Excel. You see now the text in the first row is in bold and with the font height is 16 here, as you can see. So far so good. And let's write code for creating other header columns, other cells for the header line. So it's better to have a separate method, private void write header line. And also have a method for creating a cell. As we repeat this code snippet for other cells. Private void create cell, and we need to make the workbook and sheet as instance fields of this class. So move to the class level here, private, and we create instance of workbook and sheet in constructor public user Excel exporter. Here we create a new instance of the workbook, and for the sheet we create a new sheet in the write header line method here. In the create cell method, we take some parameters which are an XSSF row and column index and value of the cell and cell style style. And then we move this code that creates the row here, create the first row with the header line here, and move this code that creates the cell here. And we, from the given row, we create a cell based on the column index, and set value for the cell value, and set style for the cell. And we move the code that creates cell style here into the right header line method here. And we need to check the value of the value here, the data type of the value object here. If value instance of integer, when we set value as an integer value, set cell value, cast the value object to type integer value. Else, if value instance of boolean, then we set the cell value as boolean value, cast the value object to an object of type boolean. Else we set the value as the string here. And in the right header line, we call the create cell method to create the first cell for the header column user ID, row index 0, and value is user ID, and cell style. And we repeat the code to create as a column has the index 1 is for email, index 2 is for first name, last name, index 3, index 4 is for rows, and the last header column is for the enable status enabled here at the index 5. And we call the right header line method in the export method here, right header line. Okay, now we can test, save the changes. Click export to Excel and click the generated Excel file here. You see now we have the field names for the header, user ID, email, first name, last name, rows, and enabled here. Then we need write code for writing the data lines, the actual user information. So after writing the header line here, we write data lines here, and we pass the list user to this method, list users, and create this method here. And here we start the row indexed from 1, because the row index 0 is the header line here. So we iterate through each user object in the list for user in list users. For each user object, we write a new row into the Excel document. We create a new row from the sheet here, sheet create a row with the row index number, and we need to increase the value of row index after each loop row. and we specify the column index. Column index is 0, and then we create a new cell at the given index. Create cell, row, column index, and value is the value of user get ID. The first cell, the first column is the user ID and cell style. So we copy the code for cell style here. Here we just set, we do not set font bold, and we set the font height is just 14, and pass the cell style here, cell style. Okay, and let's test again. Click export to Excel and open. And you see now we have the values for the first column, which is user ID here. So far so good, right? And repeat, write a similar code for writing the values of other columns. We need to increase the value of column index here. Column index plus. The next column is for user email, so get email here. The next one is for first name. Next is for last name, and we need to increase the column count, column index here. And the last column is no, not the last. The next one is for the rows, and the last one is for the enabled status. Okay, and we'll also need to make the width of the column auto fit the value in the column. So here we can create a new cell here. We call cell we call sheet auto size column for the given column index. Okay, save the changes, and this time I think we will have the full Excel document. Okay, export to Excel. We got an error here. Let's see what the error is in the console view. We got an error here. Cannot persistent set cannot be cast to Java string. Oh, it's because of this line. We write the user rows which here set here. So we need to go to string. Yeah, okay. And test again. Refresh the user's listing page. Click export to Excel. Okay, and open the exported downloaded Excel document. And now you see we got the document, all the values for all the columns here, user ID, email, first name, last name, rows enabled here. And you see the data is sorted by user first name in ascending order here. You see, perfect, right?